Hello, my name is Beth McDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. So today is sort of an uh, topically packed show I have for you. It's windy. um, I'm just back from a great trip, which is the Rhinebeck and everything. So we're going to do a Rhinebeck recap. And this week is Halloween, so I also have a really special story with you at the end, told by my friend John Cox, who is the author of the ghost stories from Bermuda. So Bermuda Haunts. He's written a bunch of books. We'll talk about that later. And I've got some knitting, but I'm going to minimize the knitting this one time to focus on the one project I really worked on since we last spoken, and then talk more about Rhinebeck and haunted Bermuda stories. So I hope you're in for it. I hope this sounds exciting, and I hope you enjoy. So grab your drink and your knitting or your crochet or whatever you're doing, and let's dive in. And I hope this all finds you well. So let's start with project I'm working on. What am I wearing? That's what we should always start with. I'm wearing a design of mine called Chevron Vest. It's a really great summer piece. If knitted in wool, it's a great layering piece and a vest to wear over. I've worn this over like a button-down shirt and everything like that. It's really great. I know everywhere else in the world it's autumn, or everywhere else in the Northern Hemisphere it's autumn. But for those of us not feeling autumn quite yet, or those in the Southern Hemisphere, this is the pattern for you. But like I said, it's actually kind of a cool vest if used woolly wool and everything like that. So this is the Chevron vest. I've knit 3. I want to knit more. It's really great staple. I love it. I wear just a camisole underneath it, and it's great. I love it. It's knit using Sandnes Garn Line, my favorite summer yarn. I've held it double, but I designed this literally weeks before they did the tick Line, so you could just use that instead. Or you could use a bulky wool or whatever. Yeah, I think a bulky wool. I can't remember the stitch count, but it's all in the Ravelry description. That'll be linked below, 20% off as per usual for the next week, just as the featured pattern. So yeah, so this is the Chevron vest. It's great. I love it, and really versatile. So there's that. So what have I been working on? I've been working on this design here. Really excited about it. This is a sweater version of last year's Winter's Walk cowl. This is a Winter's Walk sweater. As you can see, it's going to be long. I want it to be literally like a sweater that you would wear out walking in the cold. I don't know, I even picture with leggings, etc. So I've made it kind of long. It's going to be cozy. It's going to have like a turtleneck, 3/4 sleeves that you can put some really nice layering pieces underneath it, and a cool hem. I'm thinking, I had this on this mannequin since I've been back, because I knit all this up to the bottom here while I was away. It was a great project for traveling. I didn't knit, I carried the West Knits thing with me, the West Knits mystery knit along with me, and I just didn't knit on it. It was too much. It was too much for me to think about and everything like that, and I really needed mindless knitting. So I just devoted my time knitting to this, and I'm actually really pleased I did that, because it's great. I hit a point that I needed to reflect on, so it was a really great, like I literally got to that point the night before I flew back, and that was really perfect, because then I could come home, wash and block it, see it in its glory, put it on the dummy mannequin, whatever you call this thing, and I've had it in the kitchen. I love to sit and knit right there, where that cushion is. That's where I sit, and so I've had it sort of right near me here, and I could look at it. And what I've decided I think would be really fun is a turtleneck, hem, and cuffs with a really simple cable. I think that's what this needs. I think this is all about winter and coziness, and I think it needs some sort of texture. So I'm going to do that. I've picked the cable motif, and I'm ready to start on that. This is color work in the round, and as you can see, it's top down. But it has sleeve openings. So the point that I left it at to show you is in the pattern there'll be 2 options. They'll be either knitting it flat, so the front and back flat, and doing color work, which I've just done for the porcelain sweater, and it's really not a big deal. I think it is more of a big deal if you're a continental knitter, and I totally understand, but really it's not anything to be that scared about. It just gives a lot more movements if you're a continental knitter. I prefer to knit it in the round, and so I will also include instructions on steeking. I have reinforced my steek, so I don't know if you can see it, but there's little teeny threads there from my sewing machine, and I'm ready to cut, and that's really easy. So you'll see here in the instructions, you'll have 5 steeking stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the dark color, oh, here go my notes. The dark color, a column of white, a column of dark, column of white. And the idea is that really highlights where you're going to cut. So I've put in, with the sewing machine, 2 lines here, and then I'm ready to, you can see where the stitch has been added, there's a little opening there. I'm ready to literally take my scissors and cut right up the middle there. You don't need to use a sewing machine. You can steek in other ways. I like the sewing machine because I have it on my desk all the time and I'm really comfortable with it. If you were to use a really toothy wool like a Jamison's or something like that, you could probably not do anything, or even, you know, like a Lofi or something like that, something really toothy. This, while is able to be spit spliced, it's not the toothiest, so I just wanted to reinforce it. And if you used a non-superwash yarn, or if you used a superwash yarn, again, the sewing machine just really helps that. So literally, and I mean, I could do it here for you if you wanted that to be done, but I will literally just take scissors, and I can do a few steps. There's scissors right here. Literally, I find this, I find the little hole, and the center, you can see the center line right there, and I will just snip up that line. And again, I love that it's been delineated so clearly with the color shifts. So I'm just snipping up right in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, and these are definitely not the sharpest scissors. These are my kitchen scissors, but they're doing a fine job. And there's another little hole at the top, and then there you go, there's my sleeve opening. And now I'm ready just to pick up the stitches along here, and that will naturally fold in that cut line, and it'll be no problem at all. And you'll just pick up the stitches. I'll suggest how you pick the number of stitches to pick up. Basically, I usually do a 3 to 4 ratio, so pick up 3 stitches for every 4 rows, and then I like to add a few on the underarm and maybe a few at the top, and then you can work the sleeve. So the other side is totally ready to go as well, and I'll cut that later and get going. But I wanted to show you that at this stage here so that you're not overwhelmed, because I literally just did it and it's super easy and I'm not nervous. It's not, no problem. So that will be an option. So again, they'll be both writing for knitting it flat for the front and back, and knitting it in the round with steeps. I'll cut the other side later, but what I'm really excited to jump right on is the hem, which, slide it back, will come up down here. So this is going to be a long sweater. In the design, of course, you can omit any of the chart. You could minimize this to just one tree if you wanted it shorter, or whatever. You could omit something if you wanted it shorter, but I really, really wanted almost like a dress, like a short dress effect, something cozy in the winter. With a turtleneck, with this neckline, I'm going to suggest a turtleneck, but it would be just as easy just to do some basic ribbing, or like 2 rows of the cable here to do a crew neck. I love, in the winter, a sloppy outfit for me is something that is sort of all the options are resolved. Luna wants to go outside, so she's lying patiently by the back door. But if I open the back door, it's going to be like a hurricane through here, which I don't want, and that's coming hopefully, potentially on Friday. But anyways, so you could easily, if you don't want to do a turtleneck here, you could easily just get a crew neck happening with the same instructions. But for me, a lazy outfit in the winter is something that is completely finished. So with a turtleneck that looks finished, that means I don't have to think anything about whatever's going up here, collars, lace, scarf, necklace, 3/4 sleeves. I always wear like a fitted long sleeve shirt underneath and leggings, and I am a happy camper. And if this covers my derriere a little bit, then I'm even more happy in my leggings. So that's kind of the concept for this garment. I'm hoping to have this out. It'll probably be in the new year. The yarn is Bare Naked Yarns. It was a yarn support, and I'm really grateful for that because it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. It's the Kent DK in 3 colors, and Mussel Shell is the gray, Driftwood is the brown, and White Sand is the white color. And I think it's really, really lovely. So I'm super excited about that, and there'll be more to go. I'll have more to show you next time when we speak. I have worked on the Calatini, but since I'm back, it's not really enough to show you. I've worked a little bit on the porcelain sweater, not enough to show you, and I haven't worked at all on the Hamilton design. So because we have so much to talk about this episode, I think I'll just leave the knitting at that, and we'll get right into the next items. So winter's walk sweater coming in the new year, hopefully. That's the idea. So what's next? Let's talk about Rhinebeck, or New York sheep and wool. And that is always so much fun. I always have the best time. It's the nicest time to travel on the East Coast. It's still hot in Bermuda, but fall is happening there. It was cool, crisp mornings, but beautifully sunny every day. I didn't have one bit of rain. I think it rained a few times through the night, but nothing much. It was very comfortable to wear our sweaters. And here comes Luna. I think she's not waiting for the back door. So anyways, it was really comfortable in our sweaters, not too cold, not too hot, just right. The porridge was just right. So yeah, it was really fun. So I flew up on a Wednesday and landed at about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Though we were late to depart, but caught up, made up the speed in the air. And landed, got a rental car at JFK, and then I've got great friends that used to live in Bermuda that now live in Connecticut, and so it's sort of our tradition now, since they've moved back, that I come and spend the first night with them, which is so much fun. And so the girls are home from school, and I get to hang out and find out what's going on in high school with them, and hear all their news. They're big into sports, and the cool high school stuff, and then see all their dogs and pets and stuff. It's so much fun. And then wake up in the morning, and my friend and I love to, there's a few stores and restaurants I love to check out in the area, and that's always fun. And we have our great breakfast, and then I'm on the road. And then in Mount Kisco, New York, at Pick Up Every Stitch, there is a Rhinebeck party called The Road to Rhinebeck, and it's fantastic. It sort of like gets you in the mood. So I've left my friends, we've had a great breakfast, we've hung out, we've caught up, got all the kids' news and everything like that, and then I'm into the knitting. And so it's about a 45-minute glorious drive in Connecticut, and the Connecticut roads are spectacular. Really, I like this. I don't do the highway so much because it's so pretty there. I take the small windy roads with beautiful stone walls and the trees and the forests and the colors, and it's just spectacular. So 45 minutes, and I'm at Mount Kisco at Pick Up Every Stitch. And there, Felicia and her colleague, and colleague, Felicia and Karen, sorry, you know me, words escape my brain right at the critical moment, so please, apologies. They have a great event, and this year, okay, excuse me, hold that thought. Sorry about that. Luna's polite reminder that she needs to go outside. So anyway, so at Pick Up Every Stitch, they had a wonderful trunk show and highlighting this lovely dyer from Italy. I don't speak Italian, but Fli Occhi del Lupo. So I think it's the eyes of the wolf, something like that. Anyways, the dyer did beautiful work. My friend who I was meeting further along asked me to pick up some red mohair, and it was the most stunning red. In fact, there were 2 reds that were beautiful. I don't find reds easy or often really amazing, and these were amazing reds. I love these sort of colors. They work really well with me going grayer, and sort of, I guess, I'm influenced by my environment in Bermuda. So I picked up a mohair and a fingering weight, and the fingering weight is non-superwash. So it's untreated and plastic-free yarn. So 19.5 micron, 100% merino extra fine. And this is 70% super kid mohair and 30% silk. So I'm really excited about that. The color is La Memoria dell'Acqua. So that memory of water, something. Anyways, love that. Love the colors. Really excited to do something fluffy and fuzzy and cozy in that. So that was the first stop, rode to Rhinebeck, then got into Rhinebeck itself proper. I stay at a hotel in the town. I find that just really convenient. And because the people who I usually travel with, there's two girls that I usually travel with, and they've got family and businesses and stuff like that. So we kind of book our own trips because we might have to cancel. So this time I was going to meet up with Priscilla, who coming, not coming, coming, not coming. Anyways, so she ended up having to stay not in Rhinebeck itself, but in Kingston, which was totally fine. And I was staying in the hotel. It just works out better that way, and we all can just meet all of our needs at home and stuff like that. The third person who usually comes with us unfortunately couldn't this time, but hopefully the next time. Anyway, so drop my stuff, and I love walking around the town of Rhinebeck. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful town. Lots of really nice shops, and this is my last trip, hopefully, not hopefully, I love to travel, but I'm hoping to stay in Bermuda now till after Christmas, and so I did some Christmas shopping, which was really good. So stocking stuffers and things like that. Oh, and there's something exciting in the backyard. So that was really good. So hanging around Rhinebeck, did a little Christmas shopping, and then dinner with Priscilla in Kingston. The next day was the big day. That was the Friday before the New York Sheep and Wool, and we had it action-packed. Priscilla is really good at organizing, so she had it all strategically rooted so that we were going in a circle, and it was the most effective and efficient. And she had even picked out like stops where we could have lunch and stuff like that. So I went along for the ride. It was fantastic. Now I'm just going to move this out of the way so that I can show you other things, and hopefully my piece of paper won't fly away. So the first stop was a Woolen affair, and a Woolen affair is put on by the Brooklyn General, and I really wanted to get their merch, which was, I really wanted to get this really fun bandana, great color. Can you see the sheep here, the sheep motif there? Maybe if they held it like that with the sun. So a really cool bandana. So that was one of our first stops. I really wanted to purchase that. A Woolen affair, again, is put on by Catherine of Brooklyn General, and she is an amazing organizer. So she does a great job. There was nothing left overlooked. Parking was easy. The venue, Hudson Brickyards, is stunning. It's covered, so even if it rained, it was no big deal. It's right on the Hudson River, and there was a lot of great, just beautiful views, great location. I'm just going to twist this maybe a little bit. Great location. So that was really beautiful, and love it there. So while at a Woolen affair, there was so many amazing vendors and people to see and yarn to touch and everything like that. I was first stopped in my tracks by Lavendar Lune. I think this is a great sock yarn, and I thought just the colors were spectacular. So happy to have purchased that. The color is Hollow's Eve on the Hudson. So yeah, a little souvenir. Beautiful. Because what am I trying to say? There's a lot of really amazing vendors there at all three spots. So it was really kind of overwhelming, but I mean, we've been going for so many years that I sort of know what to expect, and yet it still is overwhelming because there's just so much out there. I have a passion right now for Spincycle. So I stopped at the Spincycle booth and I thought that was really exciting. I'm really looking for more Spincycle that is on the lighter side, because I find I have a lot of the mid and dark tones and light tones, which I find helpful in some of the designs, especially since I carry mid and dark tones alongside it. So that's great. So we've got the hurricane that might be coming up this way, and I think Luna's felt a little wound up today all day. So apologies if she's barking a lot. It's definitely the week of Halloween. It feels a little whipped up and a little energetic, and the next, I'll also tell you, I've been reading a lot of the haunted stories in this book, which we're going to talk about later. So it's very Halloweeny, and Luna might be a little bit more vocal than usual. Also there, I do like Magpie fibers, and I had never touched this Plume yarn, and I did, and I fell for it. So I am desperate to design something that's just light and airy and gauzy, and like a sweater shell to go over a simple dress or something like that for the winter. I'm really excited with that. So can't wait to start to cast that on. So that was a Woolen affair. So we got there right when it opened, met people in the line, was so much fun chatting with people, walked around quite a bit. It was windy on the Hudson. That's the wind was coming right off the water. I was kind of chilly, but whatever, it was really nice, and we're wearing all our woolies. And so we did that, and we walked around a few times. It was amazing. I mean, I could have done so much more, but trying to hold myself back a bit, because I know we had more events to go to. And so we hopped in the car after a couple hours there, and we went to, next was CakePalooza. So CakePalooza is always a favorite of mine, and it's a favorite of mine just because a lot of friends are vendors there, and I've sort of gotten to know a little bit the lady Alyssa who runs it, and really like working with her, and it's just very social. Because it's so social, I didn't really take any photos. I mean, I barely took photos of a Woolen affair. I didn't take one photo of CakePalooza. I was just having so much fun chatting with people. There's always great hand dyers. There's great everything there. And great, yeah, just great artists there. So what did I purchase? I love Alyssa's cake yarn, and I bought a sock yarn last year, and I wanted to buy another one this year. So this is the Whisk base and color cocoa. I just think it's really pretty. I also bought another sock. Yeah, it is sock. But so I just put this into a section in my yarn storage so that it can be used for anything. Like I put them in sweaters, I put them in socks, I put them in shawls. But I just thought these colors were incredible, kind of like a koi pond. This is from the Naughty Buffalo, and this is ADK, so I don't know what color that is. Anyways, I just thought that was really pretty. Had to have it. The other person who I'd love to see what's going on is Yan Kwan of Forever Yarn Doylestown. She has her finger on the pulse with yarns and what's cool and what's coming up. She represents La Bien-Aimée, and I love La Bien-Aimée yarn. But she had Julie Aslan there, which was really fantastic. So always fun chatting with Julie and her husband. That was great. But what she had that I've never used, and ironically my friend Priscilla was knitting on this sweater, if not wearing it that day, a sweater knit out of Circus Tonic Handmade Australia Merino Possum. And this yarn is spectacular. It's got a huge put up, 437 yards, 400 meters for 100 grams. And it is just stunning. It's just so juicy and plump. And Priscilla's sweater that she was wearing was just, it was such an even fabric. I was really, really excited and impressed. So it was really neat to be able to buy something from Circus Tonic all the way from Australia. And I'm excited about that. The color I picked was Neela. And I just think, it's funny, this is sort of the gray that I think looks really good for my skin tone. And it's a great neutral. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I have like ideas percolating in the very back of my head, and I can't wait to cast that on. also at CakePalooza, we came across this really neat company, Handmade, and they had the most beautiful buttons. Now, I don't really knit cardigans, maybe I should, but I just thought these gorgeous ceramic buttons and flower shape, it almost reminds me of sort of wabi-sabi, sort of Japanese aesthetic, traditional porcelain. I just thought that was stunning. So actually Priscilla treated me to those. So that was really lovely. Thank you, Priscilla. I'm now going to have to find a cardigan designed to raft or knit. But yeah, really beautiful. So those ceramic buttons. Thank you, Priscilla. And also there, I love Tannei Casey's bags, and I like to use her bags as gift bags, especially for one particular friend. So I picked her, I know she doesn't watch this, I don't think she watches this, I don't even think she knows I do this. But anyways, I picked this for her Christmas gift set. So her prezzies will be in this, and I just thought Tannei Casey's bags are so pretty. Lovely little wooden bead, green, and I just thought they went together really well. And these are sort of the colors of my friend. She's sort of got this fun, fresh kind of Scandi vibe. She's really tall, blonde. Her interior is sort of a wooden house in the woods with great sort of red highlights and turquoises and stuff like that. So this will be going to her for her Christmas with little special things inside. So I am quite sure she wouldn't even know I did a podcast. And if she did, she definitely doesn't watch. So that was CakePalooza, and that was really super, really fun, really busy, really social. And then our time slot sort of ended, and we saw the people lining up, and it was our turn to go to the next. So it was sort of one of those days where just amazing. And the crazy thing was, there was never any lineup for parking. There was never any lineup to enter. Well, there was a little lineup to enter at a Woolen affair, but that was part of the fun, you know, talking with people and stuff like that. And then we just kind of flowed out of CakePalooza and went to Indi Untangled. So this is the bag. I had pre-ordered this because it's a really fun, I thought it was really groovy, great colors, Indi Untangled bag. So we went there and had lunch to start with. So that was really great. They had, right on the entrance, they had a person doing lobster rolls. So Priscilla had a lobster roll, and they also had oysters. So I had half a dozen oysters, or a dozen. I had a bunch of oysters for lunch, and it was fantastic. So we sat down, chatted people, ran into more friends, meeting friends the whole way along, which was so much fun, totally social. The crazy thing is I met or saw so many of my friends that I met on the Alaskan cruise. They were everywhere. And Priscilla hadn't gone on that trip with me, and I think she was just like, my gosh, there were so many of you. And that was such a great thing, and really said, if you can travel with any of these groups, and if it interests you and it works in your schedule and your budget and everything like that, I highly recommend it. I mean, it just opens up a really neat another level of the community, really fun. So a lot of the cruisers out and about, especially at Indi Untangled, and other friends, and it just socially so much fun. Saw the knitting posse, they were there. I think they were there for most of the day, along with the guys, Kevin and Ray from Needles at the Ready, and Michael from, oh my gosh, see, I shouldn't even try to do this because I haven't written these things down. I'm really sorry. Really fun. Oh yeah, thumbs up. There we go. I thought I took that off. Anyways, so Indi Untangled is great. Another different venue. This was in a horse presentation area, I think. And so there are sort of 3 barns, all with different vendors in it, spaced apart, music in the front, a place to sit, lots of food vendors, really, really nicely organized. Again, really easy parking, no lineup, just easy breezy. Loved it. So there, I knew that Michael and Kate from the Knitting Posse and Michael from Upland Fiber Company were vending, and I really wanted to check out the yarn, so I did, and I picked up a sweater's quantity of this, which is core fingering, American 50% Cormo and 50% Cordale in the colorway Mariner. And their samples were stunning, and I can't wait to use it. And the stitch definition, and it's really interesting because it looks like a sort of a semi-loose ply, and I wouldn't expect it to create beautiful stitch definition, but it really, really does. So I'm really excited about that. And beautiful yarn, Upland fiber. And the other company that I was really excited to know more about, and I'd heard so much about them, but just hadn't clocked them. I think I've seen them before, but I just hadn't. There's so much going on in these things, like what sinks in and stays in my brain is probably just a small amount. And so I think I looked at them before, but I really looked at it this time, and I really loved it. And that's North Bay fiber. And I loved this really soupy green color. They didn't have much left. I bought what was left, which was 4. There's not a whole lot on for the put up. Very affordably priced, so that's not a deterrent. So they only had 4, and there was 150 yards in each one. So 150 times 4 is 600 yards. So that's not enough. So I knew I had to do something with it, and I just thought these 3 colors were amazing. So they're all North Bay Fiber Heritage DK, which is, it doesn't really say what the composition is unless I'm not reading it correctly. Oh yeah, sorry, 100% Targhee Polypay wool. Don't know what Polypay is, but I love Targhee. And these 3 colors are amazing. This is Beach Glass, and this is Jitterbug. And then the green is Jack Pine. And I just thought that was really great. So I have something percolating in my brain for design-wise that way too. And I'm looking forward to executing that. Again, still looking to grow more hands so I can get more done. The usual issue. So that was pretty much everything at Indi Untangled. Indi Untangled was just really fun. And then I hit a wall, and then I'm done. And that was good. So we went and we had dinner and put up our feet. That was fantastic. So that was Friday. Saturday is the main event, the New York Sheep and Wool, which is this logo this year. Last year, ironically, we met the lady who had won the award, the competition for the design of the branding, and it looks like she's done the same, like the branding again this year, and I think she's so talented. I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but so talented, and just I love the motif for this year. So New York Sheep and Wool, let's see what's in this magical bag here. You know, I'm on my kick for sort of yarns that change color. Primrose is there, and they always have a spectacular booth. I thought this was really interesting. It shows more navy blue in real life, but I thought the colors were great, and it totally made me think of my husband Jeff. So I want to do something with that for him. Don't know what that is. Priscilla battled the crowd, and at Junction Fiber Mill, they were packed, and I just thought this was really pretty. So making tracks light, called Day's End, and just stunning colors. That was a really interesting booth, and was really busy, but it was kind of fun. Chatted with everyone that around. We were all comparing colors. It was really good. I think Junction Fiber Mill have a podcast that I've been meaning to watch, and maybe you'd like to too. So that was really cool. Also in here, oh, another from Primrose. I just thought this was so interesting. Do you see there's like orange below? It's purple and pink and blue and sort of yellow and orange in there. And I just thought that was really exciting. Called Rusted Root. Homestead worsted, which is a 3-ply worsted weight yarn, 150 yards rusted root. And I just thought that was really, really, really cool. And then at the end, on our last day, we went back on Sunday too. I did most of my shopping on Saturday, but on Sunday we went back, and Miss Bab's booth wasn't that busy. And we've been going to Rhinebeck for at least 6 years, maybe more. I can't remember. And Miss Babs was always just too crazy to get in. And we got in, and I was able to get one of her famous babies, or yarn babies, whatever that they've always called it. So that was really pretty. There was two that I honestly, I was starting to feel very spent by this point, definitely. I was feeling very spent by Friday, but by Sunday I was feeling very spent. But in hindsight, I should have gotten both of them. They were just, she's got some really interesting colors, and I don't think they're repeatable necessarily. So really fun. And this has got, I can't remember, but this has got like 1,500 yards in it. So I think it's the value of maybe 4 skeins. So really amazing. While we were at her booth, again, on Sunday, oh shoot, I just did that. Caught it in the zipper. When we were at the booth, someone tapped me on the shoulder and spoke to me first, and I heard her voice and recognized the voice and turned around, and it was Joanna from Twinset and Purls. And both Joanna and her twin sister Rachel have really distinct voices, and I love their voices. And on a Sunday afternoon, I really enjoy watching their podcast, pretty much because of their voices. Really soothing. Anyways, Joanna was there. It was so much fun. We had a great old chat in the booth. Not the best place because, of course, there were people trying to shop around us, but we had such a lovely time, and that was so much fun too. And Joanna gave me and one for Priscilla too, and that was just amazing. And love their podcast. I'd highly recommend you watch them. Really soothing, really beautiful. Great designers for scarves and accessories and things like shawls, accessories. And it was interesting, when Joanna left, she said something like, "Oh, I don't knit many sweaters. I'm really an accessories person." And as she was walking away, I thought, oh my gosh, we should definitely do something together, like a design together, where I design a sweater and she and her sister design a complimentary shawl or something like that. So that's my idea. Joanna, if you're watching, or Rachel, get back to me. Let's do something. That would be fun. So yeah, so that weekend was so much fun. It just, so many people. I did go to the hill. I don't spend a lot of time on the hill. I find that kind of uncomfortable. So I kind of walked through, chatted with anyone who wanted to chat. I'm very open to meeting people. Of course, I love to write with you online here, but I don't know who you are. You can see me. I don't recognize you. So I'm so grateful when people come up and introduce themselves, because it's nice to put a face to everything. I know everyone says that all the time, but it truly, truly is. And I found that just wonderful through the whole week. Meeting new people, meeting old friends, new friends, and everything like that. It was really, really, really fun. And then around 12:30, we had to hop in our cars and go back to the city to drop off our cars. Priscilla was dropping hers off on the way down, so I met her there, and then we got in the car together, went down to the city, had a night and a day together in the city, and then she flew home, and then I had a few more days in the city, caught up with some friends, did my Christmas shopping, did other errands, went to museums, saw my dear friend Maureen, who does a lot of test knitting for me. We had breakfast together, and then had such fun catching up with Debbie and Susie Korb, who I'm hoping you all know about Pittsburgh Mercantile. It's a wonderful place online, and a wonderful shop, really fun and quirky, and that's Susie Korb. That's her shop, and Debbie is just a wonderful, wonderful lady, and an avid knitter too. So perfect person to follow on Instagram too, to see what she's knitting. So it was just a 10-day trip of nitty goodness, and it was just so much fun. It was so much fun, and it was so great to see everyone and see all the yarns and see all the sheep and the llamas and the everything, the leaves, the trees. It was just beautiful. I really didn't take a whole lot of photos. I was just so busy enjoying myself. So, and just being in the moment. And I really love to just be in the moment. I love having photos too, and memories of a trip, but I'd prefer to be in the moment and just chatting with anyone and everyone, and making that the priority. So I have a teeny little video reel that I put together. You might have seen it on Instagram. I'll insert it here now, but basically it just summarizes just the wonderful, fabulous time in upstate, or mid-state New York. So I'll leave that with you now, and then I'll come back in a second and we'll talk about Bermuda haunts. So back into. Okay, so I have had this idea up my sleeve for about a month now, and I've been working on it. And I got up the nerve to ask my friend John Cox, who actually I didn't really know. I played tennis with his sister-in-law, and I've been really good friends with his the lady who also worked with him on these books. These are his first books, Bermuda's Favorite Haunts. I was really good friends with Mac Musson. Really neat lady. I lived in the apartments basically of where she and her family lived when I was young and single, and I just adored her. Adored. And I know she was involved with John Cox and another lady who I just didn't know, Joan Skinner. I didn't know her. But I knew that Mac and John Cox were really behind these Bermuda Haunts books. I think Joan Skinner did a lot of the marketing and also involved in the writing of them, but I think largely the marketing. But anyways, they were the three people. So I knew of John Cox for a long time, and Mac would always say, "Oh, Beth, you'd love him. He's fantastic, and his stories are so good." Because I loved Mac's stories. At that time, when I was living in the apartments of the buildings that she was in, they were always really fun old Bermuda buildings too, houses, properties. I was working a lot. I was single. I just out of university, had nothing in the bank, so I was working about 3 jobs, and I would come home. And Mac would always say, "Come on up, come have a glass of wine." And she always made meatballs. So wine and meatballs, wine and spaghetti and meatballs. And she'd always tell me wonderful stories. And she was very into sort of feeling spirits and everything around her. She was definitely a conduit for that. But regardless, her stories were always so much fun, and I really enjoyed them. My two favorite stories of Mac Musson's going up and hanging out with her. One, she was here during World War II. Her father was the captain of the Queen of Bermuda, and so I don't know really why, but I think she was here in Bermuda quite a bit, and she was totally indignant, or that the government wanted people to put in blackout curtains in their houses. And well, that makes sense, blackout curtains, so that you don't see the glow of the island and everything from sea or from air. Makes total sense, except our roofs are white. And so Matt could get so indignant, like, why are we putting blackout curtains? We've got white roofs. They glow in the dark. They glow by the moon. If you want to see an island, it's very clear. It's here. So she always made me laugh with that. The other funny story was that, so after the Queen of Bermuda, I think ended up being used in World War II, so it no longer became a cruise ship going back and forth between New York and Bermuda. Then the Monarch of Bermuda was the next one. That was the cruise ship that went back weekly. Mac was actually born in Brooklyn, New York, but because she married Captain Musson, who was then the captain of the Monarch of Bermuda, they decided that she would raise their kids here in Bermuda because the boat would be here more in Bermuda than it was in New York. So what she would do, which was really fun, is she had 2 kids, Debbie and John, and she would literally drive her little Bermuda car onto the cruise ship. So little English Bermuda car, teeny, little white car, because we at that time we would all have white cars so that they wouldn't get too hot. And they have the British license plate, and they're teeny tiny and light as a feather. And she would drive that onto the cruise ship, and she would drive it off on the west side of New York, Manhattan, where the cruise ship docked. And she would drive back to see her family in Brooklyn. And so one time she said she was driving her car over the British Bermudian little car over the Brooklyn Bridge, and she honestly thought she was going to take flight. And she said the looks from all the other cars, because here's this little funny, teeny little English car with funny plates, and she's sitting on the wrong side of the car, because of course in Bermuda we drive on the right, and in America you drive on the left, or vice versa. I can never figure it out. Sometimes I forget. I haven't had any problems yet, but there's been a close call. Anyways, so she's sitting, and it's a funny spectacle and not what you expect. Anyways, she just said driving over the Brooklyn Bridge in this teeny little car, she honestly thought she was going to end up in the river, having caught wind. But yeah, so Mac Musson, great character, always meant to meet John. Playing tennis with his sister-in-law for 16 years. I'm not very good at tennis, but I keep playing. The people I play with are really fun. I'm not really a fan of the sport. I mean, it's fine, it's fun, but I'm not really athletic. Anyways, so one day I asked John's sister-in-law, Jenny, I said, I have a podcast, and I think, John's Bermuda Haunt stories would be really fun for the Halloween podcast. And she totally thought so too. And so did John. So these are the two old books that have been published. They're no longer in print. So I'm kind of teasing you. They're really good stories. A lot of the illustrations are by Mac. So she would draw the little pictures too. She was really talented. So it's all about the old historical houses and the history and the families and everything that lived in them. And ironically, when I asked about this, John is putting out a new book this year. So it was just kind of amazing that it all worked out. So this is John's new book, and it's dedicated to Mac. So that's where I'm reading. I'm at chapter 3. I'm trying to savor everything. Ghosts and Other Bermuda Tales by John Cox, and then In Loving Memory of Mac Musson. So for some reason, this all came together, and just spectacular. So there's another sketch by Mac Musson of an old Bermuda house with a ghost. So I went over and met John, and he was lovely, charming, lovely, honest to God. I could talk to him for hours and hours and hours. But gratefully, he allowed me to record him telling you, or us, of all, a wonderful story, a ghost story that started his trajectory and his interest into writing about ghosts, about his family home. And so I'm going to leave it there. These books, 2 of these are out of print. He's got another one about his time in Canada, more books, and this one is coming out. It's being sold in Bermuda at the Bermuda Bookstore. I'll leave contacts down below. I'm not sure if they ship. If there's a lot of interest, we'll figure it out. But anyways, at the very least, I really hope you enjoy John's story about the ghosts that are his family, in his family home that has been inhabited by his family only for 225 years. Is that right? Yeah, 1802 it was built, so 223 years. And some of his former relatives keep their eye on the current relatives. It's really cool. Enjoy. And I hope you all have a very happy Halloween. I hope Melissa doesn't come trick-or-treating on my doorstep. I'll keep you posted on that. But have a wonderful Halloween, happy knitting, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, enjoy. Bye-bye. All for you.
So Beth, I'm interesting and fortuitous that we should meet today because it's October.
Yes.
And Halloween is around the corner.
Yes.
And I have just released a new ghost book.
Yay.
And I've kind of been known for years as a ghost writer. Mac Musson, Joan Skinner, and I did Bermuda's Favorite Haunts, which is sadly out of print now. So I thought, well, I'll work on a book and see what I can come up with. And I've, brought out this whole new book dedicated to Mac on Bermuda's most haunted houses, or reputedly most haunted houses. And we're in one. I mean, Orange Valley is one of the reputedly most haunted houses. And the funny thing is, people come in and immediately they'll say, do you have a ghost here? Because the atmosphere is quite alluring.
It is. I mean,
particularly in the old part of the house.
Yes, when you walk in the
right
old
away,
part,
you feel something.
Yes.
And, and I always say, well, actually, there are 3.
Yeah.
But 3 ghosts in the house. There are quite a few ghost stories, but one of my favorites is something that happened really quite recently. I had a tour here about 3 years ago. I opened the house for decorative arts tours and also ghost tours, but this was actually a decorative arts tour. So I wasn't even concentrating on the ghosts at all. Okay. In fact, I hadn't even mentioned them. And I asked people to go upstairs, visitors, to go upstairs to use the bathroom up there because we had a plumbing issue downstairs. So they had to go up. And there was a buffet lunch served. So, everybody had the tour, they had buffet lunch. And a woman went upstairs to use the bathroom up there and came out, and standing in the middle of the west bedroom was a woman in a long dress. She said it was striped. It was a striped dress. And the woman had ringlets, and she thought, wow,
Yeah.
This is so convincing. This must be somebody helping John with the tour. And she's come on.
Right, like
but
a
why
docent,
haven't,
yeah.
like a docent. Like,
Yeah.
but why haven't I seen her before?
Yeah.
You know, here she is, you know, rather
Greeting
late,
me privately,
late in
yeah.
the tour, greeting me privately. And I said, boy, you are so convincing. You must be helping John with the tour.
Right.
And she said the woman just looked at her, didn't say anything, and then vaporized.
Oh my gosh.
She said it was like watching salt spray just vaporize. I just go to nothing.
Right.
She went, God, I don't believe this.
I just had a haunts
She said
tour.
this woman was standing there as clear
Yeah.
as day,
Yeah.
you know, not even fuzzy. She was totally clear.
Wow.
And then just vaporized. And she said, I went downstairs and I thought, I can't handle this. She went out and got on the bus, on the tour bus.
Wow. And just
She didn't come back in. I never saw her again. 3 years later, she came back on the tour and she said, I had to come back here and I have to tell you something. I have to tell you what happened to me 3 years ago. She said, do you remember that you sent everybody upstairs? And I said, I remember that very clearly. She said, I was one of the people and I encountered a ghost in your bedroom. Who could that have been? I said, well, it's probably Mary Cox, the first wife of the builder. She died at the age of 40 in 1806, died in the house of the house was built. We know the family were living here in 1802.
Okay.
Probably built in 1801, somewhere around there.
Right.
She dies in 1806. And then William Cox, he was a sea captain, remarries to Mary Ann Dill. But the first wife, Mary Robinson, dies at the age of 40. She leaves behind a 10-year-old son.
Oh gosh.
It's so sad, you know.
So sad. And then you can think of all of
How
it.
do you move on?
Yeah.
To leave this 10-year-old son.
Yeah.
Her husband's away at sea.
Yes. I mean, I'm
She
picturing
can't
the
say
whole
goodbye.
ramification of it. Yeah.
So something of her essence, something of her essence is still here.
Protecting almost the
Protecting
family. Yeah.
almost the family. And
Yeah.
and I had encounters with the ghost of, I believed it was a woman. I never saw her, but I believed it was a woman when I was around 10, 11. Around the age that that boy was,
Right.
that she left behind,
So she
Benjamin,
was looking
or
over
Benji
you.
Cox. I think she was looking out for me, almost as if I had been Benji Cox.
Right.
And this woman, I think, saw Mary Cox all these years later.
That's amazing.
That her essence materialized and then vaporized.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, but it's just so, but it's so neat that she was around watching out for you, who's been the caretaker of the house, and you know, continuing that on. And who wrote books. It's very
well.
it's a
almost
very
like
big circle.
A big circle.
Yeah.
A big circle of life and death.
Yeah.
And you know, she's still there. My sister-in-law, who's in the room now, has had brushes with her.
Oh, have you?
Has felt her, hasn't seen her, but felt her.
Yeah.
Most people either feel her, like she touches them,
right,
or they hear footsteps.
That's
Sometimes I see an orb of light,
yeah,
which moves around. I have had house guests who've actually seen her, had two who actually have seen her. And they don't stay more than 3 nights.
Yeah.
You know, they go, which is
that's
just about
perfect.
right, you know.
I need a ghost at my house.
They go off after 3 nights. So,
Yeah.
so 3 nights is about it.
Yeah.
But, you know, they hold their ground, but they tell me, you know, I've had an encounter. And that woman who came to me and said, you know, 3 years ago, I saw a ghost. Yeah. I know she did. There is also something sort of menacing here.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, there is. And I think it's a male spirit.
Okay.
That's a bit menacing. And where I have had the experience too, and others, where a feeling of not being able to breathe and being choked.
Oh, okay.
So there's something menacing, but I don't think that's not Mary. But I think that the menacing spirit could have been a bachelor great uncle who died before his time, and he was sort of bitter.
Okay.
He was sort of bitter, and I guess bitter because he was lonely. He was sort of heartbroken. Actually. Yeah. It's I won't go into it. But he was a heartbroken man.
Yeah.
And I think there's something menacing because of that.
Yes.
You know, who are these people really here? Or is it just like an essence that's left over? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to think it's an essence that manifests itself every now and again.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, when I was a child up in that west bedroom, I felt that there was somebody watching over me. all the
Right.
time.
Right.
I mean, all the time for several years, as though whatever was there hadn't moved on at all. And
Interesting.
that must have been Mary.
Interesting. And did your brother have those feelings too? Did he?
Not my second brother, but
Oh,
my
sorry.
third brother.
Oh, I didn't.
My other brother.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
My other brother, Daryl.
Okay. Yeah.
He that's the interesting thing because I wasn't sleeping well, because she kept waking me up.
Right.
You know, she would touch me and wake me up, and then I'd hear the footsteps. And I wasn't sleeping, so my parents said, well, I think you better go to another bedroom.
Right.
So I moved to the south bedroom where I didn't have any trouble, and I slept well.
Right.
And my youngest brother, Donald, then took over that room, but they said, don't tell Donald about this.
Right.
You know, he may start imagining things.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I never said a word. Well, sure enough, several days later, he came to my parents and said, I am hearing footsteps. I'm being woken by something. I see an orb of light. It was exactly what I had experienced.
Interesting.
Totally the same. And so he was also aware. Well, I did talk to Mary because, you know, I did say to her, you know, I wish I could help you, but you're keeping me awake. You know,
Right.
You know, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And then things would calm down.
Interesting.
But
Well, it's a mother.
then
Yeah.
they start up again.
Yeah.
And then my parents thought, no, we better move out. And
Yeah.
they put Donald there, and he had totally the same experiences that I had.
And you hadn't told him. That's just amazing.
I hadn't told him a thing.
Amazing.
I wouldn't, because he was 4 years younger. He was,
Yeah.
you know, he was about 10
Right.
at the time,
Right.
and I thought, you know, vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so, but he definitely, he really is on the wavelength more than anybody I know in the
Really?
family.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's really on the wavelength.
That's amazing.
And I certainly was as a child. As I've gotten older, I'm sort of less on the frequency.
Yeah.
I'm not quite on the frequency, I guess, now, which is fine with me.
Well, it allows you
But
to
some people are.
cohabitate.
Yeah.
Of course. And there's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
there's
so
so many
must-
old
there's
houses
so many.
here.
That's the thing. When we
I mean-
did volume 1, all these people came and said, well, our house isn't in there, or
Yeah.
our experience isn't in there.
Yeah.
So we had to do a volume 2,
Yeah.
and we could have even done
And
a volume
I don't
3,
think people
actually.
realize that Bermuda was, when was it first? It was in the early 1600s.
Early
Yeah.
1600s.
So that's the
From-
time of the Elizabethan court
Yeah,
were moored on our shores,
Yeah, well,
you know.
I know.
And there's a lot of houses
Yeah.
that date back to the 1600s.
yeah,
you
there
know.
are. There are.
And schools and buildings and stuff
I
like
think
that.
being surrounded by the sea plays a big part in it, because somehow the sea, and so many people were lost at sea.
Yeah.
And they can't move on. They're, you know, somehow their attachment to Bermuda is so strong
Yeah.
that you still feel them.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
they're still here.
Yeah.
You know, that's
It's
something.
it's neither the
I
old
talk
world
about.
and nor the new world.
Mhm.
It's not, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I know that a lot of
absolutely.
when the first shipwreck came, they carried on and went to the U.S. to
Yeah.
Virginia,
Yes.
and a lot came back because it was
Yeah.
so horrific.
Yeah, horrific.
Yeah.
Well, they had, you know,
All the
obviously they had
diseases and-
diseases and
Yeah.
a terrible time there, and
Yeah.
Bermuda was free of that.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Just
know,
had some
and
screeching
kind of benign
pigs.
by comparison.
Very. It
you
was
know.
empty.
Empty, yeah.
Yeah.
Except the screeching pigs, yeah.
Screeching pigs. Yeah.
And the
Which we no longer
earache
have.
howls,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's such a fascinating
For this little
history.
funny little rock in
place.
the middle of the ocean.
It's so varied. You know, that the whole history is so intertwined with the sea and you know, with amazing stories.
Yeah.
Just extraordinary. The folklore
Yeah.
is rich.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
really
It truly
rich.
is. And that's, I'm going to wrap this bit up, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the viewers is Bermuda's folklore. It's tangible. It's the stuff we bring down in our family stories, and it's still lived in. And you're still living with your.
I'm still living.
You're still
with,
living with.
Well, this is the amazing thing with the tours that come, because I open the house a lot for tours.
Yeah. Well, good
You know,
for
I
you.
always explain to them, I'm not only am I the 6th generation to live in the house of my own family,
Really.
I've never lived anywhere else, and here I am,
Right.
you know, 70, and I've never lived anywhere else, and they find that extraordinary because people move around so much,
Yeah.
particularly people visiting Bermuda from the States or Canada. Their lives are always on the move, and here's, you know, somebody living in a house that his family has lived in for 200 years, and he's still here and not gone anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
there's
really.
something really,
I
it's
think-
very static.
It's really wonderful.